Hey witches! So I'm going to show you how to make a jar that will help you deal with grief. As you know, I'm dealing with that right now. If you follow me at all, you know what's happened. I'm not going to dwell on it, but I want to show you how to make this jar. So first, you're going to cleanse it. I'm going to use the sage. I hardly ever use the sage, but for stuff like this, I'm going to. You can also use Palo Santo. You could also use green sage. You can use just a smudge stick with different things together. You can use cedar. You can use mugwort, because that's also known as black sage. I'm going to cleanse that. All my herbs are cleansed and charged and everything, so I don't want to do my hair. I'm going to leave the nature and the leaf. I think everything is good except for my candle. So I'm ridding everything of all negative energy. But sage takes away the positive energy too, but I'm kind of starting this on a blank slate. So I want everything to be cleansed, including my area, making it sacred. All right, so I'm gonna put that in there. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to add, and you don't have to do it exactly like I'm doing it. You can do it however you want. I'm just showing you an example of one that I've kind of put together. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, because I always include fire, you know that, you know I'm a pyro. I want to do this candle, and I'm gonna write on here what I wanna banish. And also I chose the color black because it symbolizes like a void. You know, grief to me is just a void. It's an empty hole in my heart. So I'm going to write on here just the word grief and all caps. Okay, so I wrote that on there. Just that, I didn't put my name or anything else. I'm going to give it some witch's breath. I'm going to roll it and give my energy to it. I'm not going to dress it in any oil. Just giving it my energy. Okay. So I'm going to put it in this little cheap ass candle holder that likes to leak. But I'll put it on something once it gets really going. Okay. So we've got that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and just light it. Okay, so it's intended to remove grief. So when you're dealing with grief, you want to take away the bad, take away the sadness, but you also want to replenish it with good. So I've got some herbs here and some spices here. I've got some things from nature. I have some of my hair. I have some crystals. I just have all kinds of stuff. And I wanted to share this with you real quick. I got this from Sage Goddess on my last haul. And this is the Master Healer. After I get out of the shower, I spray around my heart. I spray pretty much my whole body, but I really focus on the heart. Spraying it around there. And it's really helped. I don't know what the hell is in this, but something in there is good. And it's to mind over matter. You know, you're putting it on. You have the intention of healing yourself while you're putting it on. And, you know, a lot of that is mental, which a lot of witchcraft is mental, because we have to use our magic, our inside, our abilities, our focus, and our intent to put that into everything we do. And this is no different. So to banish, first we want to banish. But before I start any jar ever, I always put some black salt. So I'm going to add some black salt to my jar, just enough to cover the bottom, not a lot. And if you ever want to make black salt, get your cauldron, get some ashes, get some salt, and go to work. Just grind, and you'll get it. So some black salt. I bought that though because I was lazy and didn't want to make any. So got the black salt in there for like protection, because you always want to have that. And next I'm going to put my hair. The reason, excuse me, the reason I'm putting my hair in next is because I want this jar to be tied to me. So I'm putting a tag lock in there. It's a good bit of hair. I gave myself a little trim earlier. So it's in there. You don't have to use that. You could use a different tag lock, or you may choose not to use a tag lock at all, and that's okay. Next, the stinky part. I've got beautiful oak trees in my backyard, and I found this one, and it just looks so pretty to me. I collected a good bit. I have a big box of leaves over here because I have another spell I'm going to share with you guys tomorrow. But I'm going to write on here what I want to banish. I'm going to write again in all caps, grief. Okay, stinky part, I'm going to burn it in the black candle. I'm going to let the ashes fall in here. And I hope it doesn't make the hair stink, but I'm going to put the ashes in there and the rest of the leaf. So that's in there. Didn't smell too horrible. Hope it doesn't start burning that hair. It's really going to stink. I think I'm going to take away the oxygen for a minute. So once I've got my tag lock, the ashes of what I want to banish, my black salt, I'm going to start putting some hot stuff in here because hot stuff banishes. So I've got some crushed red pepper, some black peppercorns, some cumin, anything spicy. I think that's just about done being stinky. Ooh, I don't think I'm going to put the cumin next. That really will stink. So I'm going to go ahead and put some black peppercorns. I'm not counting them, just putting them in here. I'm going to put some crushed red pepper. To banish grief. I'm going to put some cumin to banish grief. And also I'm going to add a witch's burr. Witch's burrs are great for banishing. And that's what they look like. They're great to do any kind of banishing work. So I'm going to make this sacred by running it through the smoke. I'm imbuing it with the power to take away my grief. And I'm going to put that in there. Now, to continue banishing, rosemary is good for banishing also. You can use it for all kinds of stuff, but it's good for banishing as well. I'm running out of rosemary. I cook with it a lot. I always will charge it with the intent of happiness and nourishment when I'm cooking it, and then when I'm cooking it, dump a handful in. I'm going to put that in there to banish my grief. Alright, so I've got the things that I use to banish. I think that's all. Next, I'm going to put some crystals. I can't find my amethyst quartz. My amethyst in a little bag, my little tumbled tiny stones, my little chips. I can't find them, nor my rose quartz. I've done something with them, so I'm going to have to use big crystals, but that's fine to put in the jar, whatever you have. So the reason that I will add the amethyst in is because the amethyst is going to dispel sadness and grief. So we're putting that in there, and it's also very calming. I'm adding the rose quartz because it heals emotions, and it also allows you to open your heart again. So now I'm starting to add in things that are going to, actually I'm going to add this black obsidian first, because this is also, when you use black obsidian, I always wear black obsidian somewhere on my person because it can absorb any negative emotions, anxiety, anything like that. To banish my grief, to absorb the feelings, the sadness, the heartache. So everything in here so far is to get rid of the grief. All right. Now we want to start adding in things that are going to, perk me back up, get me calm, get me happy, and just leave me filled with happy memories instead of all this grief, because it is almost too much for me to handle. Thank goodness I'm a witch and I'm able to do things that help me to heal, and meditation has helped a lot. I actually did and I'll put the link in the description, but if you've lost a loved one recently, or even if it's not recently, it's a guided meditation, and once you get to the peak of the meditation, you can actually encounter your loved one, at least an image of them or a memory of them, and it is so powerful. I did it the night I lost my mother, and it actually put me almost into astral projection. It was so good. It was a really good little meditation. So I'm going to put in now rose quartz, because this opens your heart again, heals emotions. So now we're focusing on healing. Next, I'm going to put some lavender. As you know, lavender is wonderful for calming, and I definitely need some of that right now. So the lavender will calm me down and help to reduce anxiety, because every day I wake up, I feel like my heart's going to explode. Poppy seeds. If you think about where poppy seeds come from, they come from the plant, the poppy flower, and this is what heroin is made of. And this is going to, I'm not a heroin addict or anything, I'm just telling you that the properties in this plant can bring about happiness and good feelings. So I'm also going to put the hot poppy seeds in there. You can also use these in black magic, but we're not doing that right now. Okay, next is mugwort. I add mugwort to everything I do. It's my favorite herb. I need to let this mugwort know what its purpose is, because it just elevates things. So I charge, bless, and empower this mugwort to make me happy, to bring happiness back into my life, to help me to smile again and enjoy the little things in life. So mote it be, mugwort. So I'm putting that in there. All right, and then some jasmine. Jasmine is for love, to just bring back those feelings of love versus the sadness. I want to just remember the happy times instead of crying every time I hear a song or see a show on TV. So I'm adding the jasmine. And like I said, you can tailor this and put whatever you have on hand. You don't have to use this much stuff. It's not typical to put this much stuff in a jar, but I have a lot of stuff and I'm going to use it. So cardamom is highly tied to love. So I'm going to add in a little handful of cardamom. In you go. And then I'm going to add some rose petals. I'm adding these rose petals. I might just add this really pretty little rosebud that I preserved. So I'm going to put that in there. My mother's name is actually Rose, so that goes perfect. So that will also kind of represent her and my love for her, and also Rose will comfort you, calm your heart, uplift your emotions, and empower your self-love as well. You could also add like chamomile, hibiscus, just whatever you want, Next, I'm going to add this key. As a Kate devotee, I'm going to definitely be using a key at some point or something related to her. And what this key is going to do, I'm going to imbue this key with the power to open doors for me that will help me to move past this and move on. So I'm going to consecrate this in the smoke. Consecrate this key as a magical tool with the power of air. I'm going to do it in the fire to consecrate this as a magical tool by the power of fire. Now I'm going to hold it. I'm just going to take a minute and silently, I'm going to be silent about this. I'm just going to say what I want to say to the key in silence while I cup it in my hands. be. Put the key in there. And then we're going to add some more crystals. I'm going to add in, my daughter actually, after we did our winter solstice offering, I brought it back in when it was starting to get dark, and I gave her my citrine crystal ball, and she accidentally dropped it and it shattered everywhere. So I picked up some of the pieces, and I'm going to add 3 big chunks of citrine. I have a little bag of the little tiny pieces, but I want to add the bigger chunks. So I'm going to let this crystal know what it's doing. This citrine will bring me happiness. This citrine will get me back on the right path to happiness. So let it be. Go in there. You could also add something like an Apache tear. This is my daughter's. I need to get it in her little bag that's behind her bed in her windowsill, so I'm not going to add that. But if I had another one, I would. The other one that I have, I wear around my neck, and the rest that I bought, I gave to family members. So, not going to add that in there. You could also add some selenite if you wanted to. I was going to add some selenite powder, but I cannot find it because that just kind of brings in that divine goddess energy that will help heal anything. So that's the jar. That's what's going to be in the jar. And close it up. And then what I'm going to do is let it finish burning with the black candle on top of it. And let it charge like that. And then when it gets to be a full moon here, because we're at a first quarter right now-ish. And once it gets to be a full moon, I'm going to charge it under the full moon as well. And then whenever you're feeling sad, you can come to your jar and just give it a shake. Just give it a shake or hold on to it. Hold it close to your heart. You know, just spend some time with your jar. And just remember that it's working for you. That it's the magic in the jar is taking away your grief and bringing happiness back into your life. Another thing you can do, once you get it all stirred up nice and neat and awesome, you can take some of the contents. I know you're really not supposed to open a jar once you make it, but that's okay. I want to show you this. You can choose either a pink pouch to represent love or a little black pouch to represent banishing or represent just grief in general, whichever color or any color that you like. And just take a little handful of the stuff in there and pack it into one of those bags and carry it with you. So now the jar is sealed. I'll not open it again. So there's the grief jar. And that's what it looks like in the end. So we're going to leave that with the black candle on top of there. And I also have started a little grief, sort of like a weekly chat or weekly get-together to discuss, you know, emotions and just support each other as witches, because out in the real world, I only have one other person that practices, my best friend, and she lives 3 hours away, so we don't get to practice together that often. So we talk though, and she's been really helpful. She's coming in March so we can do a ritual, but in the meantime, I want to work with some of you guys, just, you know, talking about it and stuff, so we can do some Zoom meetings. So if you want to be involved in that, just DM me. I've had about 5 people message me that are interested, so just keep them coming, and we'll get together hopefully this weekend and just have a little chat. But tomorrow I'm going to show you how to make a sea witch's protection jar, and then a lottery spell tomorrow. So that's all I have, witches, and blessed be. Like, subscribe, and share.